is your moment. This is your time. Embrace every milestone. No looking behind. What's your vantage point?
Hello and welcome. I'm Natalie and you are?
Alexa.
And I am Serge.
And we are the ladies from Vantage Point. You know, we want to celebrate someone right now.
Yes.
Our lovely, dear friend, Lori Hayes. We want to celebrate her because she is stepping into her new, and we look forward to seeing her come back on this set just to spend
Yes.
some time with us. But Lori, we are so pleased with you. We celebrate you, and we're excited to see what's new in your world. And you always have a home here with us.
That's right.
And new is the word, because
Yes.
stepping into new places, stepping into new things, moving forward, going on in your life, I mean, that's to be celebrated, and it happens to everybody. Each one of us, I think, has gone through something new, even in the last year or two.
Yes.
Because that's what life is all about, you know, change, moving on. And I just keep thinking about all the changes that are happening in our lives, just in terms of our relationships, our careers. I mean, just in the fact that we're in 2020 in a new year. Can you guys just speak to the things that are going on with you?
Oh my gosh, I could speak to a lot of things. But to your point, stepping into the new, actually almost 3 years ago, I made a huge decision to change careers. Still in corporate America, but I was with one very large financial institution for 19 years. So I was coming up on 20 years, and I was being courted by one of our competitors. And I was like, wow. And it was something out of the blue. Now I had a decision to make. Now I was comfortable. I was happy. I had no reason to really leave. But then when this opportunity presented itself, I was scared.
Yeah.
I hate using that word. I was fearful initially. And I was uncomfortable. But I made that decision. And that was the best decision I
What
made.
scared you?
Because what scared me was I didn't know what was before me. I didn't know. I was about to embark into the unknown.
The unknown. Yep.
And I was like, where with the financial institution I was with initially for 19 years, I knew the process. I was well known. I knew who was, who to connect with, where to go. I was comfortable.
Yeah. Yep.
I was comfortable. So that in itself, when you think about the new, it's exciting. Every new year, it's like, I'm new year, new beginning, da 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 da. But to actually step into the new, that in itself could be a challenge.
Yeah, right. And I think in career, sometimes it's easy to transition because when you were going through that, we were going through that similarly with our different organizations. It's easy to leave a job if you don't like it. Right? But what happens when you love your job, right? But you also know you've outgrown it, and God sends you an opportunity, and we were wrestling with like, do we do it? Do we not? Do we do it? So it's something to be said to receive an opportunity and pursue it when you weren't looking in the first place.
Yeah.
And I remember just double dutching with that, like, God, is that where you want me to go? I don't know. And it was the best thing. So, I'm grateful for the opportunity, but I knew that it was time to transition to grow. I knew there was something else, and it was the best thing. And then even transitioning into the new space, the new organization, I remember feeling like, in my previous organization, I was thriving. I was that, I knew the governance within our space. I knew operations. I knew the culture of the organization. And now I'm in a whole nother one, and it's like starting all over again. And you're no longer the top performer because you're trying to navigate that space.
Yes.
It was terrifying.
Yes.
I had the same experience. I remember I was offered this job, and it was going to be a big, huge career shift. And the thing about it was, it tested my mettle. It was like, do I believe in myself? You know what I mean? And other people were saying the fact that they offered me the job, it was like, you can do this. And I went home one weekend and I prayed the whole weekend, and I was so nervous. It came back to fear.
Yeah.
And it was more, can I do this? Do I want to test myself? Because I had gotten comfortable. And I did. And just what you were saying, Nat, it reminds me of when you're going from, it's kind of like when you're in junior high and you go to high school, that change, that shift. And then you go from high school to college, and it's like you used to be top of the hill, and now you're like low and you don't know anything. I think transitioning to college is one of the hardest things. And if I had to do things all over again, I would really pay attention to my children more, because that is a transition. That's a change that's so hard.
Yeah, that's
you
so
know,
true.
you have to keep, when I think about young people and I think about that transition for them, they're trying to be like, I got it all together. They may not talk to mom the way they normally
Yes.
do, or dad the way they normally do. That's when you really have to stay close.
It's so funny you
Stay
said
close.
that, because we're going through it now. I'm a mother of 3, and I have a son who's out of college now. And to your point, seeing the transition from from high school to college is like a whole different world. There is a little bit of fear there, but same thing with my girls. But my youngest daughter, who is an athlete, basketball is her passion. When she was in middle school, I didn't want to say it, but
real good.
I didn't want to
She's
say it.
real
One of the
good.
best.
But thank you. And when she was in middle school, girlfriend was MVP. She always started. She was considered a star. Even when she was in AAU, this girl, she hardly sat. And then she transitioned to high school, to one of the top high schools in the state of Delaware. And she's getting playing time. She's not starting, but she's and to see my baby break down.
Because she's a freshman.
Because she's a freshman and she doesn't understand. You walked
Right.
on varsity.
Yeah.
You are in varsity and you're
Right.
14. She's the youngest on her team. But it was a reality check. And here's the thing. She was like, maybe I'm not the best. Maybe I'm like, no. I said, you are now, you graduate to the next chapter in your life. You're going to have to do this afraid. This is preparing you for your future.
That's good. Do it afraid.
Do it
Do it
afraid.
afraid. That is so good.
Great lesson, right? Which is doing it afraid. But I think when we talk about transitions, we need to know when it's an assignment and when it's a lesson. And I think when I was transitioning from one employer to the other, I thought it was an assignment. I'm going to come to this organization and do great things. And then I realized, oh, I didn't have an assignment. I had a lesson. I needed to learn something here so I can prepare for the next assignment and do that great.
That's good.
So with your daughter, this is a season of a lesson.
Yeah.
You know? And it can be seen in any transitions. Transitions are inevitable. They're going to happen.
I
You
would
know,
say
they
the
happen
same
as
thing.
we grow up. The sun rises, it sets, the earth changes. Culture changes, leaders change in politics, everything changes, and we change too. What about in relationships? And I can personally speak to relationships. I went through a divorce, and I used to say, I'm not going to say I'm divorced, I'm unmarried. Semantics, tomato, tomato. It sounded more soft.
Right.
But in certain parts of my marriage, I thought there was an assignment, but it was a lesson. It was a lesson. And now that I'm on the other side of, in my new, walking into my new status, right? My gosh, what a great time it is to be introspective and look at Natalie and what she did great and what she can improve on, and just really, really inviting God into those experiences where it felt painful and lonely, right? So in the transition, in stepping into the new, sometimes it's a little painful, and sometimes you have to look in the mirror and you're kind of replaying this loop in your head, but at some point you got to stop playing the reel of your life and just keep going forward and living and learning.
That's a really good dynamic too, though, because when you take a minute to really look in the mirror, it's a funny thing when you're evaluating a place that you've already left. Whether it's a marriage, whether it's an actual location, but when you're evaluating that, it's easy to say him, them, that, it's so easy to point your finger and to say, and the way our minds work sometimes, we're always the victim. It always happened to us, woe me, pity party at my house. So it always, there's a real temptation and a tendency to do that kind of thing. But the thing is when we take that moment to really, before you go into a next change, before you go into another relationship, take a minute to really let God speak to you and really evaluate and go, you know what? I want to own a piece of that.
Yes.
You know what? I didn't really say what was on my heart. You know what? I didn't speak up. You know what? I could have done that
That's
better.
therapeutic.
Oh man,
That's so therapeutic.
because the thing we don't want to do, and I've come by this honestly, is to move into the next thing and you're still carrying baggage from the first thing.
It's so funny because while and this is not always public knowledge, but 25 years ago when I moved from New York to Delaware, I was married.
What a transition.
Yeah.
New York to
From
Delaware.
New York to Delaware. culture shock. Trust me on that one. And the thing with that was I was so young, and I did it afraid.
Yeah.
And I was married, I was young, and I was pregnant. Okay. When, of course, that marriage didn't even last a year. Now there's that shame. And I didn't even know God like that. I was believed, but him and I didn't have a relationship. And when I went through the divorce and I had my beautiful baby boy, I never told people that I was married. I just have a son. And I want to say maybe 10, 15 years, I never said a word. It was recently, I was talking to someone, I said, yeah, well, my first marriage, and one of my best friends said to me, she says, you know what you just did? You acknowledged that you were once married. You never did that. I went, that was growth. I owned it.
That is growth.
I had to release that shame that came with that.
Yes, yes.
And that was a lot.
Yeah.
That took a lot.
That's awesome. Only 15 years, but you did it.
I did it. It took me
did it.
15 years.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I'm saying that, like, it's this constant growth and looking at yourself that allows you to do that. And you talked about, your faith and your Christian walk and how it allowed you to do that because you knew who you are in Christ. Yeah.
But that's kind of the thing too, because wherever you go and whatever situation you're going to be in, the common denominator is you. And so accepting yourself, you know what I mean? Accepting yourself and give yourself grace. If it takes 10 years, 5 years, one day, whatever it takes. But the fact that you're accepting yourself and you're saying, okay, this is who I am now in this situation.
Right.
And in whatever you say, I've done the same thing. I've had like 11 moves in my life.
Wow.
Over 5 different states.
Wow.
I've moved 11 different times. I was counting it up the other day and I was like, wow.
That's
Different
amazing.
states, different houses, same thing. Pregnant, just had a child, mother just died. And sometimes I'm coming to a place where I don't have family, I don't have friends. I'm starting like completely over. And the thing about it is you have to really, really be good with yourself.
Yeah.
Because that's, you and God is really the only thing that you really, really have. I mean, I have a loving relationship with my husband and I have kids and all that, but it's very smart sometimes to say, me and God, where are we going with this? Me and God, where are we going with that? And that you get over the fear.
Yeah.
That, if you go into a new position, a new location, and I've done this before, I've had to ask myself, instead of looking at it as a negative or a positive, to make sure I'm looking at it as an adventure. It's like, what can I do here? What can I join? What are these people? Like you said, culture shock.
Yeah.
When I moved to Montclair, New Jersey, and Montclair, New Jersey is like a bedroom community outside of New York, near Manhattan. And it was like, and I'm moving from LA. So that was different.
Okay.
And I was working, and now I'm a stay-at-home mom with 3 kids. This was like a complete life change. And so I'm like, okay, I'm not going out to business meetings. I'm not having lunch dates. I'm staying at home. For the whole first year, I refused to wear sweatpants. I'm like getting dressed every day because that's me, baby. So I had to like reorient myself. I'm like, so what do you guys do here? So I started meeting people on my block, started meeting my neighbors. I said, what's up? They were like, the Y is what we do here. That was my look. I was like, the Y? The YMCA. And I'm thinking, men in the basement, lifting weights, sweating, like small, dinky. Their Y was beautiful. It was this historic, huge thing. They had swimming for the kids. They had everything. So that was like their hub. That's what they did. And do you know, not only did I join the Y, had my kids learn to swim, became a fitness instructor. Hello. I mean, I didn't expect that. Out of that, I ran a marathon. I mean, it changed my whole life because I went with the flow.
Yeah.
Because I went with the flow.
Excellent.
So you have to kind of like reframe things in a positive way sometimes and say, okay, this isn't me, but I can roll with this.
You know what's we're like twins almost. Because when I transitioned from New York to Delaware, there was a YMCA that was new here in our community, and that was a big part of the culture. It was like, oh, this new Y. But here's the thing. I left New York because I was running away from a tremendous amount of pain. And I just wanted to run. I just wanted to run. So I did. I landed in Delaware, and the YMCA is there. I became a member. It was our running club. I mean, it was such, I remember so many of the congregants would meet there at 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning to do a collective 6 a.m. spinning class. It was great. But at the Y was where a lot of my healing took place, which is
Wow.
crazy. So we're like
How so,
connected.
though?
Yeah.
Well, you know, the fellowship with the people. Because here's the other thing too. You know, you had your husband and your children, and of course God was with you. I had God, didn't realize God was with me, but I had nobody. I had no family. I had absolutely no one. So it's literally not only building my pain, like rebuilding from all this pain, but also building new relationships with people. And so this community within the YMCA, as well as within our church, it just embraced me and kind of brought me back to life.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
really, really did. So, but you know, it was scary. But I did it. But guess what? That hurt that I was running from. So for people who are trying to step into the new, you can't run from it. You can change geographic locations.
Hello.
Yeah.
But that
Yeah,
hurt is
yeah.
going to show up from state to state to state. And you couldn't have said it better. You were you. You bring you with you.
Yeah, you bring you wherever you are. And you
Yep.
know what? You can't, just in terms of thinking in terms of going forward, remember that there is going to be some fear involved. You just got to face it. You just got to run with it. If you have family, if you have friends, nowadays it's not so bad because even if you don't have family in your pocket,
Right.
Yeah.
you know, you're only a phone call away, you're only a text
FaceTime
away, or
away.
FaceTiming away, so it's not that bad anymore. And just remember, take God with you, take your foundations, your values with you, and move forward. Just do it anyway.
Excellent.
Just do it anyway. So Megan asks, I am an introvert. I moved to Philly from Florida. I play a big role at my job. I find myself just working and picking up food on my way home and going to sleep. This is my process every day. How do I put myself out there? How do I put myself in different environments to meet new people? And that's Megan making a move.
Well, Megan, I can totally understand your position because when you're moving from one state to another, and especially you said you were an introvert, I get it. You know, your home is that's your comfort place. But if you desire to meet other people, you know, start looking at other various networks. What do you love to do? What is your passion? A book club, or maybe getting acquainted with some of your new coworkers and seeing what are some of the things that they're doing, and get involved. Could be your local church. That is always a great place to start. You heard
Church
our
is a good one, yeah.
church.
Volunteer.
Volunteerism,
Yeah.
but also like Alexa alluded earlier in reference to joining the Y, and then she ended up being a trainer.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
You know, but get connected, and sometimes you gotta do it afraid.
The gym is a really good place because, especially if you engage into some of those group exercise classes, you get to talk to people, you become familiar with the people who frequent those classes. So I think that's an excellent place to do, to go. But something else, you said that you were a leader in your organization, and sometimes as leaders, it's okay to show a little bit of a human side to ourselves. And so there's such a thing as, in a positive way, a meeting before the meeting and a meeting after the meeting. And as a leader who really endeavored to make sure I was inclusive of the team, and I wanted them to know that I'm not just a leader, I'm also a human, I'm a woman, I'm a volunteer, I'm a daughter, I'm all these things. I was very intentional about having conversations, but like 30 seconds, a minute. How are you? How was your weekend? What did you? Oh, tell me a little bit about that. I love that color. Is that your favorite color? And that's how you begin to like make these personal connections with people. And you'll be surprised who knows who or who's connected to who.
Yeah.
You might find some common interest. But you gotta, if a big setting is intimidating for you, those small little micro exchanges before and after a meeting could be helpful.
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe even creating some kind of social event for your team or department. It could be a happy hour. I don't know, but
That's
something
good. Yeah, yeah.
to get you out in a more human-like space.
Yeah.
That's
I think all of that's good. And Megan, too, just think, I'm not sure what your situation is. I don't know what your neighborhood is like, but your neighbors, I mean, they're right there, too. And everyone talks about how, I don't know my neighbors. We used to know our neighbors. Reach out. If you see someone, if you're both taking out your trash on Tuesday morning, strike up a conversation. As an introvert, I'm an introvert, too. I know what it's like. I work better on the one-on-one and the two-on-two instead of the large group. So start small, you know, and don't think that any conversation is too small to have. Just put yourself out there a little bit more, and you'll find it. You'll start to connect.
Yeah, excellent. One small way is, I'm sick of buying this takeout that I keep getting. Can you tell me a better restaurant or a supermarket or something?
Yeah.
and you.
I mean, how to strike up a conversation.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
trying to give you some examples of
Yeah.
what you can do. But,
That's good.
Yeah,
That's
I
good.
like to turn strangers into friends.
That's good.
So introvert. I love you, girl. Open your mouth. Talk to people. It's okay. All right. Our next question is from Esther. I was married for 20 years, and in 2016, my husband passed away. I'm now alone, and I don't want to rush into anything serious, but I do like companionship. How do I get out there and talk and socialize with men? Where do I go? And this is from Esther, who's looking for companionship.
Esther. Well, your name is Queen. I'm just going to call you the Queen. I love the fact that you've kind of given it a little bit of time and now you want to get out there. That was safe. That was smart. And something that Serge just mentioned was the church. I think that's an excellent place to get out there because it kind of gives you a backdrop of safety in a way. And at the same time, you get to explore. Now, as I'm saying that, I'm thinking, that can be risky too.
Yeah.
That can be risky too. Keep your ears, your sensitivity up so that you can always kind of discern what's going on. Because no matter where you are, and I hate to say it, whether you're in the church or out of the church, you just have to be sensitive to what's up. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm trying to say?
I fully understand. It is a sensitive situation. I agree. The church is a good place, a good church anyway, because there's various churches
good
out there. Make sure it's a word church, because not every church is a word church. Some of it is a cult, but that's neither here or there. But I love the fact that you come to a point in your life you realize that I desire companionship, and God will give you the desires of your heart. But I will be very prayerful about that simply because, make sure that you're always going to have that piece of you of that man that you once loved for over 20 years and has transitioned over. But I strongly believe that when you desire another relationship, that God will bring that. And don't be so closed to just one place. Now, you do have to go out. You can't always stay home. And that could be either hanging out with some friends, and sometimes we've known friends to hook up each other in a day, and sometimes it could be that guy that's been around for a long time. You just haven't looked.
Listen, Queen
Keep
Esther.
your eyes open, is all I'm saying.
Queen, we're going to call her Queen.
I like
I'm
that.
going to say Queen Esther, who's about to get her groove back.
Yeah.
So, first of all, there's a lot of widowers out there who are also looking for companionship. Queen Esther, get on a dating app. Get on a website.
I was just about to ask you guys
But I
about
wasn't
that.
sure because I'm a little uneasy about stuff like that.
Listen, be smart. Google, YouTube, how to do it smart. But there is nothing wrong with finding somebody through an app. I know a lot of marriages that are hanging through and they are madly in love with each other because they've met on an app. I don't know how the algorithm works. I don't care, but it gets you out there. Here's the other thing about dating. You never know who's connected to who's connected to who.
This is
So
true.
even if the gentleman that you're enjoying that night may not be the gentleman, he might say, you know what, I know another gentleman that I think you may be kindred spirits with. I don't know.
Okay, so
but get out there, girl.
Networking, absolutely, and even getting out there. But when you are on a dating site, and especially Esther, I'm assuming you haven't been dating recently, so this might be new to you again. So just be sure that you're clear about the terms, because a lot of guys out there are just interested in a hookup. And when you say I want companionship to them may mean an open door to I just want to hook up.
Right.
So just kind of realize you're in a
Define
new
that.
game and be sure about yourself and define it because it's kind
define
of a
that.
new day.
Yeah.
It's a new dating day.
But find some comfort in this because, again, there's other men in your same situation and they're wrestling with the same thing. So I have a friend I can think about. She went out on a dating, actually, she just got married. We were all at the wedding. They met on a dating app and she talks about how the rules were so different. But read, it'll explain how the rules are different and what different verbiage means. Either way, you just got to get out there. You got to get out there and have fun. Have fun.
Have fun.
Have fun.
Yes. Definitely set your boundaries. Definitely set your boundaries. So that was a good one. Because I was really struggling with the
I'm
app
excited
piece. I was
for
like, do I
Esther.
say the app piece? Because I'm not quite sure how that would play out. But honestly, this was a really good segment because honestly, we all have experienced the new in some fashion. But the most important part I would love to put out there is enjoy the journey.
Yes.
Enjoy the journey and do it afraid, because change is inevitable.
Yeah.
The woman that you are at 20, you're going to be completely different at 30. The woman you are at 30, completely different at 40, 50, and so on. But the beauty of life is that you're constantly evolving. So you heard our Vantage Point, and definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel and like our page. But most importantly, we want to hear from you.
Yeah.
So once again, that's our Vantage Point.
What's yours?
What's your vantage